Sensors. As stated earlier, the PLC can be used as to switch according to values it gets from sensors. Sensors that may include are a proximity sensor. This is a sensor that measures the distance from one object to another. It basically operates in essence whereby it has a transmitter that sends out a signal. That signal then bounces off an object and is returned to the receiver, and then the device then measures the amount of time between the transmission and the receiving, and depending on what type of signal was transmitted, it will then determine the distance from the object. Second type of sensor is thermal. Thermal sensors, these are all temperature based. Alright, firstly we've got temperature coefficient. Whereby a material will change its resistance in accordance to the temperature it is receiving. The second type we get is the bimetal switching. This is similar to a geyser switching on and off when the water goes in or out of the required temperature range. And thirdly, we get thermocoupling. Whereby we create, using two materials, we create a loop. Join those two materials on the edges, and then that goes towards my input, and then on the one side we decrease the temperature, and on the other side we increase the temperature, and that temperature change or temperature difference will cause a current to flow, which can then be determined, or the size of that current can then be used to determine the size of the temperature difference. Next is light. Okay, specific materials have the ability to change their resistance in accordance to the light intensity that it receives. We could also use solar panels to generate the voltage in order to measure the amount of light. Next, level sensing. This could be one of two methods. Number one, the level, in other words the angle at which something is held. That could be done by means of a conductive liquid placed in a vacuum tube, and then the angle of the vacuum tube will determine the angle at which that container is being held. The second type of level is, for example, a container that's filled with water, and then we can use the proximity sensor in order to measure the distance from the top of the container to the top of the liquid to determine the liquid levels inside that tank.